the dying world. The red dust storms of Kepler 442b had become worse each year. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation window of Terraform Station 7, watching another wave of crimson clouds swallow the horizon. Behind her, the hydroponics bay hummed with artificial life, a tiny bubble of green in a world that had rejected humanity's attempts to make it home. Commander Chen, incoming transmission from Earth, the station's AI announced. Priority Alpha. Sarah's heart sank. Priority Alpha meant evacuation orders. After 15 years of trying to make this planet bloom, they were giving up. She touched the communications panel, and Admiral Zhao's weathered face appeared on the screen. Sarah, I won't waste your time with pleasantries. The Council has voted. All terraform operations on Kepler 442b are to cease immediately. Transport ships arrive in 72 hours to evacuate all personnel. Admiral, please. We're so close to a breakthrough. The modified wheat is showing resistance to the soil toxicity. Give us 6 more months. 6 months we don't have. The colony ships need those resources. Kepler 442b is a failure. I'm sorry, Sarah. 3 days. That's final. The screen went dark, leaving Sarah staring at her reflection. At 43, she looked older than her years. The planet's harsh environment had etched lines around her eyes, and gray streaked her dark hair. But her eyes still held determination. The visitor. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She walked through the hydroponics bay, touching the leaves of plants that would never see natural soil, never feel real sunlight. Years of work, abandoned. She was so lost in thought that she didn't hear the door open behind her. Your sadness fills this place like a heavy rain. Sarah spun around. Standing in the doorway was something she had never seen before, an alien. It stood perhaps 7 feet tall, with bark-like skin in shades of deep brown and green. Where its eyes should be, there were clusters of what looked like small flowers, glowing with a soft amber light. Its limbs were long and graceful, like branches swaying in wind. Don't be afraid, the being said, its voice like rustling leaves. I am called Thornweaver of the Silent Grove. I have been watching your efforts here for some time. Sarah's hand moved toward the emergency beacon on her wrist, but she stopped. There was something in the being's voice that felt peaceful, not threatening. Watching? How long? Since your first ships arrived. We were curious about the small creatures who came to heal a broken world. Thornweaver stepped closer, and Sarah noticed that tiny vines grew from its body, reaching toward her plants. We did not know if you would be destroyers or nurturers. Most species who reach the stars are one or the other. Who are we? Sarah asked. Destroyers or nurturers? Both. And neither. You are something we have rarely seen, a species that destroys without meaning to, then breaks itself trying to repair the damage. The alien's flower eyes seemed to study her plants. You are leaving. It wasn't a question. Sarah nodded, feeling tears threaten. We failed. This planet's soil is too toxic. The atmosphere fights every change we make. Nothing will grow here naturally. Nothing you have tried, Thornweaver corrected gently. But you have been asking the wrong question. You ask, how can we make this planet like our home, when you should ask, how can we learn from this planet what it wants to be? The ancient knowledge. Thornweaver moved through the hydroponics bay with surprising grace, examining each plant. My people are called the Verdant Collective. We have been gardeners of worlds for longer than your species has had language. We do not terraform, we listen. Every planet sings its own song. Kepler 442b's song is of red stone and fierce winds, of minerals that burn other life but hold their own unique potential. You can hear planets? Sarah asked, skeptical despite her wonder. Not hear. Feel. Understand. Thornweaver placed a hand on the soil of one planter. Immediately, small shoots began to emerge, growing rapidly into plants Sarah had never seen, red-leaved, sturdy, beautiful in their alien way. This planet wants to grow. It simply does not want to grow earth things. It wants to grow its own children. Sarah watched in amazement as the plant matured in minutes, producing seed pods that glowed faintly in the dim light. That's impossible. The growth rate, the adaptation. Nothing is impossible when you work with a world instead of against it. Thornweaver harvested one seed pod and offered it to Sarah. Your species has the knowledge to do this, but you move too quickly. You try to force solutions instead of finding harmony. We have been watching you, Sarah Chen, because you are different. Different how? You mourn what you cannot save. You touch your plants with love, not just scientific interest. You understand that life is not a formula to be solved but a relationship to be nurtured. The alien's voice grew softer. That is why I have come to offer you a choice. The proposition. Thornweaver moved to the center of the bay, and with a gesture, more of the red-leaved plants began to grow. The soil itself seemed to respond to the alien's presence, becoming darker, richer. The Verdant Collective has watched humanity for 3 of your generations. We have seen you reach beyond your world, struggling to find new homes among the stars. We have debated whether to make contact. Thornweaver turned to face Sarah directly. Some of us believe humanity is too young, too reckless. Others believe you have potential. And you? Sarah asked. I believe that any species that sends someone like you, who works for 15 years trying to save a single plant, who cries for a world not her own, deserves a chance to learn. Thornweaver extended what looked like a seed, but it pulsed with an inner light. This is a gift and a test. Plant this seed in Kepler 442b soil. Care for it according to principles I will teach you. If you succeed, I will return and teach you more. If you fail, we will know humanity is not ready. Sarah took the seed carefully. It was warm, almost alive in her palm. What will it become? A bridge. Between your understanding and the planet's nature. Between what humanity wants and what this world can offer. Thornweaver began to fade, becoming translucent. You have 72 hours before your people come to take you away. That is enough time if you have faith. Wait. Sarah called out. Why me? Why not go to Earth, to the Council, to someone with more authority? Thornweaver's voice echoed as the alien disappeared completely. Because authority commands, but gardeners understand. Because politicians speak, but nurturers listen. You are what humanity needs to become, Sarah Chen. The question is, will you have the courage to show them? Sarah stood alone in the hydroponics bay, holding a glowing seed from an alien species, with 72 hours to prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars. Outside, the red dust storms raged. But for the first time in years, Sarah smiled. She had work to do. The first planting. Sarah worked through the night, preparing according to Thornweaver's whispered instructions that seemed to echo in her mind. Not in the sterile hydroponics bay, but outside, in the raw red soil of Kepler 442b itself. Her team thought she had lost her mind. Commander, you're violating every safety protocol we have, Lieutenant James Rodriguez said, watching through the observation window as Sarah, in her environment suit, dug into the toxic earth. That soil will kill anything you plant in it. Maybe, Sarah replied through her helmet calm, or maybe we've been wrong about what killing means here. She created a small depression in the red earth and placed Thornweaver's seed carefully within it. The moment it touched the soil, something remarkable happened. The seed began to glow brighter, and the soil around it started to change, not becoming earth-like, but transforming into something new entirely. The red deepened to burgundy, and crystalline structures formed around the seed like protective fingers. Commander, I'm reading unusual chemical reactions in the soil. It's like the ground is responding to the seed. It is, Sarah said quietly. That's exactly what's happening. The transformation. Over the next 24 hours, the seed sprouted. But what grew was unlike anything in Earth's botanical databases. The plant had a central trunk that spiraled upward, with leaves that looked like they were carved from red glass. Along the trunk, nodules formed that pulsed with the same amber light as Thornweaver's flower eyes. More remarkable was what happened to the soil around it. A circle of transformed earth spread outward from the plant, turning the dead red dust into living substrate. Sarah's instruments showed that the plant wasn't just growing, it was teaching the soil how to nurture life. Microorganisms were forming, entirely new species that thrived in conditions that would kill Earth bacteria. "This is impossible," Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the station's chief biologist, breathed as she reviewed the data. "It's rewriting the rules of biochemistry as we watch." "Not rewriting," Sarah corrected. "Revealing. This planet always had the potential for life. We just didn't know the language to ask it." News of the plant spread quickly through the station. Scientists who had been packing their equipment came to observe. Skeptics became believers as they watched the transformation accelerate. By the second day, the plant was 6 feet tall, and the circle of living soil extended 20 feet in all directions. The council's response. Admiral Zhao's face appeared on Sarah's screen, anger barely contained. "Commander Chen, you were ordered to prepare for evacuation, not conduct unauthorized experiments. Whatever you've planted out there, you need to destroy it immediately." "Admiral, with respect, I can't do that. What we're seeing here changes everything. This isn't an Earth plant trying to survive on an alien world. It's a native life form adapted perfectly to Kepler 442b's environment. And it's transforming the soil to support more life." "Native life? Chen, we've scanned this planet for 15 years. There's no native life." "Not life as we define it," Sarah argued. "But Kepler 442b has its own potential, its own way of nurturing growth. We've been trying to force it to be Earth. We should have been learning what it wanted to be." The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "Sarah, even if what you're saying is true, we don't have time. The Council's decision is final. The transport ships are already en route. Then delay them. Give me the full 72 hours. If I can't prove this works by then, I'll leave without protest." A long silence. Then, 48 hours. "And Sarah? Don't make me regret this." The garden spreads. With time running short, Sarah worked feverishly. The original plant had produced seeds, dozens of them, each pulsing with that same inner light. Following instincts that seemed to come from Thornweaver's teaching, she planted them in a pattern around the station, creating nodes of transformation. Each new plant sprouted rapidly, and each one transformed more of the dead soil into living earth. But they were also connecting to each other, forming a network. Sarah realized with wonder that they were creating an ecosystem, not copying Earth's forests, but building something entirely new. Something that belonged to this red world. The plants attracted something else too. Small creatures began appearing in the transformed soil. Not insects or worms, but something in between, crystalline beings that moved through the earth like fish through water, carrying minerals and nutrients to the plant's roots. They had been there all along, Sarah realized, dormant in the toxic soil, waiting for the right conditions to awaken. "Commander, you need to see this," Rodriguez called out. "The atmospheric readings in the transformed areas, the oxygen levels are increasing. Not much, but measurably." "How fast?" "At the current rate of plant growth? The entire area around the station could have breathable air in 6 months. The whole planet in. I don't even want to guess. Decades, maybe centuries, but it's possible." Thornweaver returns. On the final night, as Sarah sat among her growing garden, Thornweaver appeared again, materializing from the shadows between the red-leaved plants. "You have done well, Gardener Sarah. Better than I hoped. I followed your instructions. But Thornweaver, my people are coming tomorrow to take us away. They won't understand. They'll think this is too slow, too uncertain. Then you must teach them patience. You must help them understand that some things cannot be rushed." The alien gestured to the garden around them. "This world will take time to bloom fully. But you have planted the seeds of possibility. That is enough." is it? I'm just one person. The council won't listen. You are not just one person. You are the first gardener of Kepler 442b. Others will follow your example. Your species has finally learned to listen to a world instead of commanding it. That is worth more than all your terraforming technology. Thornweaver placed something in Sarah's hand, a crystalline device. This contains the knowledge you need to continue. Instructions for nurturing other worlds, for finding the songs they sing. Share it with those who have the wisdom to understand. The Verdant Collective welcomes humanity as fellow gardeners of the cosmos. You're leaving? For now. But we will return. We will teach you more, when you are ready. When you have proven that this was not an accident but the beginning of a new way. Thornweaver began to fade. Remember, Sarah Chan, the fastest growing plants are often the weakest. True strength comes from deep roots and patient cultivation. Trust in the process. Seeds of tomorrow. When the transport ships arrived, they found Station 7 surrounded by a small forest of alien plants, with transformed soil spreading in all directions. The scientists aboard were skeptical until they saw the data, tested the soil, observed the new ecosystem taking root. Admiral Zhao stood beside Sarah, looking out at the red-leaved garden. The council is going to have a lot of questions. I have answers. And more importantly, I have a method. This isn't just about Kepler 442b anymore. It's about learning to work with planets instead of against them. You've bought yourself time. The council wants to study this before making any final decisions. But Sarah. He turned to look at her. You've also made yourself responsible for humanity's next chapter in the stars. That's a heavy burden. Sarah looked at the garden, at the alien plants swaying in Kepler 442b's fierce winds without breaking. At the transformed soil that would slowly spread across the planet, making it bloom in its own unique way. It's not a burden, she said softly. It's a privilege. We're not conquerors anymore, Admiral. We're gardeners. And gardens, real gardens, require patience, respect, and love. Far above, the transport ships began their descent, carrying scientists eager to learn the new ways. And deep in the red soil, seeds continued to sprout, each one a promise that humanity could change, could grow, could learn to nurture instead of dominate. The garden between worlds had begun to bloom.